Good morning, children. Once again, I welcome you all for this online class. And today we are moving into a new lesson in history lesson 2. And the title of our lesson is Emergence of New Kingdoms in North India. So, first let's look at the outline of our uh, lesson 2. Okay, so in this lesson, what are the things we cover? So, first one, we are going to acquire knowledge about the kingdoms of Rajputs and their counterparts in North India. That is, first thing is we are going to focus upon about the Rajput kings and kingdoms and their counterparts. Counterpart means their equal groups in other parts of North India. Okay. Then we are going to study about the Rajput kings' contribution, Rajputs and Palas' contributions towards our Indian culture, what they have given to our culture. Okay. Then finally, we are going to study about the early military expeditions of Arabs and Turks. Okay. So, how the Arabs and Turks invaded our India in the early times. So these are the three important things we are going to study in this lesson. Okay. Um, so first we are going to study about the kingdoms of Rajputs and their counterparts. That is their own group in other parts of India. Then we are going to study about their contributions to our Indian culture. Okay. And finally we are going to study about the early invasion of the Arabs and Turks. So today we are going to focus only on the first part, okay, to acquire knowledge about kingdoms of Rajputs and their counterparts in North India. Okay, so first let's go to the introductory part. Okay, so there are lots and lots of stories which gives mm, evidences about the valor and chivalry of the Rajput kings. Okay, valor means power, strength. Okay, their heroic courage in warfare. Okay, how they were very much without fear interfered in great battles. Okay, that is called valor. Okay, chivalry means um, honesty, showing uh, showing humbleness to women. Okay, politeness, that is called chivalry. Okay, so not only the Rajput kings were powerful and courageous, courageous, they also showed humbleness and polite to women in the society. Okay, so we have lots of stories about them. Okay, um, then the Rajput states are collectively called Rajputana. Okay, so they formed the Rajputs. They formed different states in the northern parts of India. Okay, they originated in the western part and they uh, occupied the whole of northern part of India. So all these Rajput states collectively they are called Rajputana. Okay, and Chittor was prominent and rallying point for the Rajputs. Chittor is a place in Rajasthan. Okay, so in Rajasthan, in Chittor only, they it was their prominent. It was an important capital for the Rajputs. Okay, so in commemoration of victory of Rana of Chittor over Malwa, Jayastamba tower was raised. Okay, so when you look at the picture in your page number 110, there is a tower, Jayastambha's tower. Okay, so this tower was built in remembrance of memory of the victory of King Rana of Chittor against Malwa. Okay, then after this, we are going to study about the Pratiharas and their establishment in their kingdom in western part of India. Okay, then we are going to study about the Palas who established their kingdom in the eastern part of India. Okay, then by ninth century, the Pratihara dynasty it progressed high. It captured Kannauj and it became the strong sovereign means mighty, powerful kingdom of Rajasthan. Okay, then finally we are going to study about the decline of Pratihara, which led to Palas in Bengal and Chauhans in the northwest. Decline means what? Destruction. Okay, end. So the end of Pratiharas, it led to the rise of Palas and Chauhans in Bengal and northwestern part of India. Understood? So this is the introductory part. Let's move to the next part. Okay, first we are going to study about origin of Rajputs. Origin means the beginning, how these groups started. We are going to study. Okay, first let's take the name. Okay, Rajput. The word Rajput comes from a Sanskrit word called Rajputra. Rajputra meaning scion of royal blood. Scion means son. Okay, young. Royal blood means king. Okay, kingly blood. So it is a Sanskrit word. Raj means king. You all know, isn't it? Raj means it is a short form of Raja, king. Putra means son. So Raj Putra means son of the king. Okay. So this shows the Rajputs belong to the royal family, royal bloodline. Okay. So last year we studied about Guptas and Vardhanas, isn't it? Last year, last class, we ended our lesson, third term history. We ended our syllabus with studying about Guptas, and after Guptas, we studied about the Vardhana dynasty. And in Vardhana dynasty, we studied about the last prominent king, Harsha, isn't it? So Harsha, he died in 647 AD, isn't it? So after the death of Harshavardhana, various Rajput clans established their kingdoms in different parts of northern and central parts of India. So what happened? These after Varshana's death, there were no strong kings to take control afterwards. So the Rajputs they took advantage of the situation and they spread all over northern part of India. Small groups of Rajput families they spread across northern part of and central part of India, and slowly they became powerful. Okay, so initially these Rajputs have three houses, three principal houses. Houses means their families. Okay, so what are the three families? Means Surya Vanshi, that is the race of the sun. Okay, and Chandra Vanshi, race of the moon, and Agnikula, race of the fire god. So these Rajput families they were divided into three subdivisions. Okay, they are Surya Vanshi, that is race of the sun, Chandra Vanshi, race of the moon, and Agnikula, race of fire god. Okay, uh, so a scholar listed. Okay, one of the scholars listed the Rajput families. Rajput kings. Okay, so when he listed, it came up to 36 Rajput kings. Okay, so there were nearly 36 Rajput clans, families, okay, groups, maybe more than also. Okay, they spread different parts of India, more specifically in the northern part. So among these groups, among these 36 groups, only four are uh, achieved a special status. Four were most prominent. Okay, so those were the Pratiharas, the Chauhans, the Solankis, and the Paramaras. So, in today's lesson about Rajput, we are going to focus upon these important, prominent uh, Rajput clans. Okay, so first is the Pratiharas. Okay, before that, look at the map in your page number 111. 111. So here you could see different Rajput clans over different parts of India. Okay, they spread different parts. Tomaras, Chauhans, Pratiharas, Chandelas, Paramaras, Cholankis, Kama, Rupa. So these are Rashtrakutas. These are Rajput clans. These are different Rajput clans spread in the northern part of India. Okay, Cholas and all not Rajput clans. Okay, Cholas they just simply mentioned the southern part of ruling. That's all. Chola is the Tamil Empire. Okay, so the Pratiharas are the first of the most prominent Rajput groups in the northern part of India. Okay, so the Pratiharas, um, they are also known as Gurjara Pratiharas. Okay, because Gurjara is the capital city for the Pratiharas, which is located in Jodhpur, which is in Rajasthan today. So the Pratiharas are also called as Gurjara Pratihara. Okay, and who laid the foundation? Founder of this Pratihara dynasty was Harichandra. So he founded this dynasty in 6th century, that is from 700 to 799 AD. Okay, and the most important ruler of this Pratihara dynasty was Nagabhatta I. He was the most prominent, important king. Okay, he repulsed the invasion of Arabs of Sindh from east. Repulsed means resisted. Okay, he stopped them to uh, come forward, to march forward. Okay, he restricted them, he stopped them. Arabs. Okay, the Arabs were from the east in the Sindh. They always try to capture capture northern part of India. So he stopped them from their invasion. Okay, so after um, the death of Nagabhatta I, he was succeeded by his son Vatsarasa. So Vatsarasa, he wanted to capture the whole of North India. Okay, he wanted to extend his territory. He wanted to capture the whole of northern part of India. Okay, so attempt, okay, in his attempt, he also uh, tried to capture Kannauj. Okay, Kannauj, which is the uh, which is in today's Uttar Pradesh. Okay, Kannauj in today's Uttar Pradesh. So why he want to capture this place? This is a very fertile land in the banks of river Ganges. Okay, so this place has a great fertility, and if you own this place, you could become rich. So this king particularly wanted to capture Kannauj, in today's Uttar Pradesh. Okay, so because of attempt to capture this place, he had a conflict. He had a fight with the king of East, Pala, the Pala king Dharmapala. Okay, and also he succeeded. Okay, he Bhoja, the son of Ramandra. So after Vatsaraja, there were weak kings. Then afterwards, another strong king came. His name is Bhoja. He was son of Rambhadra. So this king maintained peace and harmony in the Pratiharas dynasty. Okay, and also the Pratiharas, they took control of Kanuj for few times. Okay, for sometimes they captured it and they finally lost it to others. Okay, now we are going to study about tripartite struggle. So, what is tripartite struggle? Tri means three, isn't it? Partite means groups. Okay, groups. So, three groups struggle means fighting each other. Okay, so three groups fighting each other, it is called tripartite struggle. So, what are the three groups? The Pratiharas in the northwest, okay, Palas in the northeast, and Rashtrakutas Kutas in the Deccan, that is in the south. These three groups, these three clans, they fighted each other towards the supremacy of the Kanuj. Okay, three of these kingdoms they wanted Kanuj because of its fertility. Okay, um, so what happened? uh, as they were as they were fighting for this one fertile place, they became weaker and weaker. All these three kingdoms they became weaker only because they lost their concentration in their kingdom. Okay, so after Pratiharas, next uh, we are going to study about Palas. Okay, so the founder of the Pala dynasty was Gopala. Okay, Gopala, and his background was not from a royal family. He is not from a king's clan. Okay, he is not from the blood of the scion of king. He is not a Rajaputra. Okay, but people only elected him because of his great capability, because of his strength, because of his valor. Okay, people only elected Gopala. So Gopala founded the Pala dynasty. Uh, then we are going to study about Dharmapala. So Dharmapala ruled from 770 AD to 810 AD. He became a prominent king. Dharmapala became a prominent king, and he made a successful campaign against Kanuj. Okay, so he took some army and he surrounded the city of Kanuj. Okay, and Dharmapala, he was a great patron of Buddhism. Patron means follower. Okay, so he was a great follower of Buddhism, and he founded the Vikramashila monastery that became a great center for Buddhist learning. Okay, so monastery means it is a living place, hostel-like place for the Buddhist. Okay, Buddhist monks. So the name of that monastery is Vikramashila. So this Vikramashila it became a great center for learning center of Buddhist. Okay, so after Dharmapala, he was followed by Devapala. Okay, so Devapala he extended the his kingdom up to Kamarupa in Assam. Okay, so he extended the kingdom and also he gifted. Okay, he also like Dharmapala, he is also a patron of Buddhism, and he gifted five villages to the Buddhists. Okay, five villages to the Buddhists. And he also constructed many temples and monasteries in Magadha. Okay, Magadha is a place in today's Bihar. Okay, so these are some of the things about Palas. Okay, and finally, we are going to study about Mahipala. So Mahipala is one of the powerful kings of Pala dynasty. He ruled from 988 AD to 1038 AD. Okay, so he extended his kingdom in different parts, but he could not go beyond Benares because of the rule of Rajendra Chola in the south. Okay, so since Mahipala was a great king, he extended his kingdom in all directions, but he could not able to move down south because of the because in south there is more powerful king called Rajendra Chola. Okay, of Chola dynasty. Mahipala, he constructed and repaired large number of religious buildings, okay, in Benares, Nalanda and Sarnath. Many Hindu temples, Buddhist temples, he repaired them, and also he constructed new temples, okay, in places of Benares, Nalanda and Sarnath. Okay, so after Mahipala, the Pala dynasty declined. Okay, it came to an end. Uh, After death of Mahipala, and the dynasty was taken captured by Sena dynasty. Okay, the next Rajput dynasty was the Chauhans. Okay, so the time period of the Chauhans is from 956 AD to 1192 AD. So they ruled over the eastern part of Rajasthan, and their capital is Sakambari. And the founder of Chauhan dynasty is Simharaji. He founded the city named Ajmer. Okay, even today, we have the city by the same name Ajmer. It is a famous city in the uh, uh, northwestern part of India. So this city was initially founded by Simha Raji. Okay, so the Chauhans were feudatories of Pratiharas. Feudatories means what? They were um, they pay tax to the smaller kings who pay tax to the bigger kings are called feudatories. So they were small kings under Pratiharas, but slowly they became strong, okay, and powerful, and also they resisted the Arab invasion. So Arab invasions from the east, okay, in the Sindh, they stopped their invasion, okay. And the most prominent king of the Chauhans was Prithviraj Chauhan, okay. He defeated Muhammad Ghori at Battle of Terrain in 1191. So Muhammad Ghori is an Arab king. He wanted to capture India, northern part of India, and he invaded. He took armies and he met uh, he met the battle in a place called Terrain in 1191, but he was defeated and chased away by Prithviraj Chauhan. Okay, but after 1 year, the next year again Muhammad Ghori he brought a strong army and he defeated Prithviraj. Okay, in 1192, and he killed him in the battle, and the Arab Muslim rule came into India. Okay, so there was a long epic poem named Prithviraj Raso, which was composed by a bard. Bard means poet called Chand Bardai. Okay, Chand Bardai. So in this epic, there is the story, important story. It goes like this. Okay, so at the fertile land of Kanuj, the king of Kanuj, he wanted his daughter to get married. Okay, so there was a Swayamvara arranged. Swayamvara means the girl. Okay, the girl will be given a garland in her hand, and the um, princess of surrounding countries, kingdoms, they were invited in that Swayamvara, in that meeting. Okay, and they all will be seated in a row. So, whomever the bride, whomever the uh, princess, daughter of the king, wanted to marry, they can put the garland around the neck of the prince whom they like. This is called Swayamvara. So, this Swayamvara meeting was held by the king of Kanuj for her daughter to get married. Okay, but in this Swayamvara, Prithviraj was not invited because he was enemy for the king. But this king's daughter, she liked Prithviraj very much. Prithviraj Chauhan, she liked to marry him, but he was not invited. But this king, because of having enmity with Prithviraj, he made an idol image of Prithviraj as a uh, gatekeeper in his palace in order to insult Prithviraj. Okay, but what this daughter did, okay, she did not garlanded any of the princess. She directly went to the uh, image, idol of that King Prithviraj Chauhan, and she put the garland upon that idol. Okay, so what happened? Suddenly, her father became very angry and he started to move. And finally, Chauhan, Prithviraj Chauhan, he was hiding nearby only. What happened? He came immediately. He rushed there. He took the princess on a horse and they escaped from that place and they married and lived together. So this is the story in this long epic poem called Prithviraj Raso. Okay, children. So with this, we'll end our class. In next class, we'll study about the contributions made by the Rajputs to Indian culture. Okay. See you then in the next class. Bye.